Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Arpilieda DZ Rama, and I am the second reporter. So, CSR in international business. With globalization, international market is showing some strong influence of the development of CSR. Multinational enterprises' activities are faced with diverse legal system in each country. Coupled with new public opinion, more demands on social responsibility, sustainability, and transparency. Practicing CSR on a level of sincerity that satisfies the minimum based on shareholders' opinion can make the company noticeable in local and international markets, which leads to stakeholders' confidence. Next, sustainable development and environment. Sustainable development and environment, it is the idea of human societies must live and meet their needs without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. There is a pressing need to promote a new economic development model that would secure the needs of the current generation without giving any concession on the chance of the future generation to enjoy theirs. As a matter of opinion, today's generation must invest for the future and stop borrowing from the future generation by wasting the resources at present. And so there is a need to promote economic development model based on the context corporation should go beyond the minimum. This will bring turn to better consumer favor, product and process innovation, and raw material savings. Next is human labors. Human and labor rights. Corporations, particularly the large ones, have a significant influence not only on the economic but also on the social and political life of the country in which they operate. It is therefore expected from a socially responsible behavior standpoint that the corporation should be consistent with the principle of fairness and respect on basic rights. In affirmation to this, the entrepreneurial strategy of these large enterprises should be based on the following CSR demands. So CSR stands for Corporate Social Responsibility. CSR demands is first we have be compliant. The operational conduct of the enterprise should not be lower than the standards of the host country. For example, with regard to compliance with environmental laws, commercial laws, salaries, benefits, working condition, and many other things directly or indirectly related to any stakeholder of the enterprise. Next is be consistent. Have partners of the same kind. Human and labor rights are ought to be respected anywhere, and therefore multinationals in the host countries should press hard on their partners, both local and international, to adopt the same observance and recognition of rights the enterprise is following when it does business. In this way, businesses will move on the same path towards genuine CSR practice. To be specific, an enterprise must protect the primary rights of its workers wherever it operates and strive to observe the following. First is refrain absolute. First is refrain absolute from making recourse to force or obligatory labor and intimidation of any form. Next is be an advocate of the abolition of child labor. Next is respect the right of privacy and freedom of opinion. Next is respect the exercise of the political rights and of the trade union activities. Next is refrain from discriminatory treatment by reason of sex, race, religion, political opinion, citizenship, or social extraction. Next is provision for a fair compensation. The last one is provision for a healthy and safe working environment. Next is local economy and society. Large international enterprises bring extraordinary impact on the development of less developed countries. However, not without obstacles or problems occur in the differences on technological capability of the host country, lack of capacity to adapt. Involvement of stakeholders is necessary in terms of relevant decision that would contribute to the development of the territory or to the host country in particular, and that is reduce investment risk. The following are the typical examples of conduct of multinational companies considered to be responsible and have gained wide positive recognitions. First is transfer of technology. Next one is the grant of license for the use of intellectual property rights at cost compatible with the local market. Next is granting authority to manufacture products and brands that are protected, training for the development of local skills. Next is development of new products by means of local knowledge and skills. Next is creation of valuably durable forms of collaboration with local partners. Next one is corporate venturing investment in the local startup capital. The real test on the MNSC's sincerity to develop the host economy or country is to invest on fixed asset is allowed by the host, seeing their buildings and other fixed asset could only mean one thing: they will be here for long, if not for good. A good number of international companies have visible initiatives that can be called CSR in action. They are manifested by giving out a portion of their income for projects like maintenance of roads, improvements of public hospitals, adoption of school, and many other activities that should have been rendered by the government. This kind of activities would give a good feedback from the community, create a good reputation for the company, and at the same time propel the societal integration and consolidation of stakeholders and the enterprise. Next is transparency. Corporate transparency is a form of deep-rooted managerial initiative which evolved into a philosophy of removing walls and facilitating free and easy public access to corporate information. It involves openness, communication, and accountability. Transparent measures include financial disclosure, statements, the freedom of information legislation, budgetary review, audits, and religious compliance on reportal requirements of the authorities. The success of corporate policy is closely tied to its accountability, which indicates its attitude to render account of its objectives. Its activity and its achieved results. It is very important function because through these types of declarations, the enterprise holds responsibility of what it decides and what of it does, and to some extent, it avoids acting arbitrarily. Next is legality. The adherence to the applicable set of laws in force is the minimum requirement. The prerequisite of CSR is to go beyond the law provision in order to contribute to the establishment of a fair and sustainable development. Therefore, it is clear that a socially responsible enterprise rejects conducts and practices such as unfair competition, corruption, and tax evasion that put at risk the growth and development of the societies. The enterprises that prefer a CSR strategy declare to the public and to the stakeholders that they do not participate to illegal engagement on financial manipulation and insider trading, as well as tax evasion through the practices of transfer pricing facilitated by their transitional structure. Next is consumers. Consumers enterprises consumers Consumers organization point out the importance of a reliable information on the condition of production and sale of the products, including any indication on the potential risks arising from their use and consumption. All enterprises know that their reputation and their success depends on their commitment towards consumers. Those who choose social responsible behavior watch consumer stakeholder as a client but also as a collaborator in pursuing this CSR strategy. They were not only concerned health and eco-sustainability of goods but also to prove it's not produced by means of exploitation of human resources. The aware consumption represents a new approach to social responsibility of enterprise and of consumers that are acquiring growing importance in the market by promoting a production that is safe and compatible with a sustainable and fair development. The consumer's demands not only concern health and eco-sustainability of goods and all of the product phases, but also the attestation that they are not produced by means of exploitation. Supplies chains. Due to market globalization, it became very complex due to market globalization and often outsourced in countries where human rights protection is low or there are no environmental regulations or tolerance of hard labor is high due to absence of choices. This situation represents a critical point for enterprises that have chosen to adopt a socially responsible conduct. The lack of ethical control on the supply chain is becoming a not only commercial risk but also financial one. On the contrary, companies able to observe ethical behavior through the whole production cycle may have positive effects in terms of improvements in market reputation through specific certification or quality labels, confidence of ethical investors of the consumers. The last one is good relation with institutions and social organization. That's all. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.